Hello to you all. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Cheng-Chieh. I am the Vice Chair for the Undergraduate Affairs of UCLA's Department of World Arts and Culture/Dance. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this event, Discover Dance at UCLA 2021. To start, I want to acknowledge the Tongva peoples as the traditional caretakers of the land now occupied by UCLA, and that we are grateful to have the opportunity to work with indigenous peoples in this place. As a land grant institution, we pay our respects to ancestors, elders, and relations, past, present, and emerging. So let's begin with the big picture. University of California, Los Angeles. What does it mean to study dance at a high-level research institution such as UCLA? And hopefully you will get a better sense of what it means from this event. In our short gathering today, we first will have a panel discussion with some of our fabulous current dance majors, followed by a panel and Q&A with 3 of our faculty members. We are here to share with you various perspectives about the department and to answer questions regarding the admission process and application requirements for the dance major in the Department of World Arts and Culture/Dance, aka WACD. The dance major in WACD is unique in that it develops you as a dance artist, a choreographer, and trains you in a variety of dance forms such as hip hop, West African, ballet, and modern postmodern dance, and teaches you to think about dance in relation to society. So you will be studying how dancing is an expression of malleable culture and how issues around class, race, gender, and your identity position inform the experience of your own dance practice and that of others. So to start up, we will play an informal 3 minutes video clip, compiled examples, samples of studio practices in WACD from this quarter. So this video is meant to present just a little glimpse into some varieties of practices the department offers. And we are so relieved and excited about our return to the in-person teaching this quarter. And I hope you all have enjoyed the return to the in-person learning as well. So I want to thank Mark, our Zoom IT support today, and also Mark is our sound engineer for our department. Mark, would you please roll the movement video? Thank you. Great. We want to really thanks our instructors, Jackie, Willie, Gracie, Ross, Lee. They're great instructors leading our students. I feel like the whole department is dancing. So great to see them. Okay, so let's move into our first session with our 6 current dance majors. Bernice, Carlos, AKA Caillou, Madison, Rain, Ale, and Gurumi. So this student panel will be moderated by Claudia Mayoss. Claudia is the Assistant Director of the Enrollment Management from our School of Arts Architecture. Claudia herself is actually one of our WACD success stories. You actually saw her pictures in the beginning. She was in one of my Ps, so it's such a pleasure to work with her. She graduated from WACD with a dance major just, I think, 3 years ago, right, Claudia? 2 years ago, wow. So Claudia, take it over, and I will return afterwards to introduce the faculty panel in about 30 minutes. Claudia.
All right, thank you, Cheng-Chieh, and thank you for that introduction. It's great to be back here in this capacity, and it was great to see those photos. I had not seen those before, so. And now I would like to welcome our 6 current students who have so graciously joined us on a Saturday morning to tell us a little bit more about their experience right now in the dance department. So we can go ahead, if you could each take a turn and just introduce yourself, tell us your name, which grade level you currently are at, whether you entered UCLA as a first year or a transfer. If you could, and this is a lot, but if you could tell us your major and if you have any other majors or minors, and also maybe where you're from. So just a little introduction about yourself, just to give all of our wonderful attendees a little bit more information about yourself. So Bernice, do you want to start us off?
Hello, everyone. My name is Bernice. I'm a 4th year dance and psych major. I entered as a freshman and I'm from the San Bernardino area.
Great, thank you. Carlos, you want to go for it?
What's up, y'all? My name is Carlos, but everybody kind of calls me Caillou in the department. So yeah, I'm a 4th year dance and Chicanx and Central American Studies double major, and I'm minoring in education studies. I came in as a freshman, as a first year, I'm so sorry. So I wasn't a transfer, and then I'm from the Central Valley, so kind of near Bakersfield area, and yeah.
All right, and I'm really just going based on my screen. Ryan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan James, but you can all just call me Ryan. I use he, him pronouns. I started as a 1st year freshman, and now I am a 5th year dance major. I am born and raised here in Tongva, also known as LA, and I'm excited to be here with you all.
Great, thank you. Gumi?
Hi, my name's Gurmukhi. Some people like to call me Gumi. I use she, her pronouns. I also entered as a 1st year, and this is my 4th year in the dance major. I don't have any double majors anymore because I decided I did not want to. And I'm also from LA.
Great, Madison?
Hi, everyone. I'm Madison. I'm a 4th year dance major, entrepreneurship minor. She, her pronouns. I entered as a 1st year. I transferred out for my sophomore year, but I came back. And I'm from the Seattle area.
Okay, great, thank you. And LA?
Good morning. My name is Alejandra Rodriguez. Some people call me Ale. I am a 3rd year dance major. I came in as 1st year. I'm a dance major and political science double major. And I'm from San Diego, California, but I was raised in Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico.
Great, well, thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. And just to give the attendees, excuse me, a little bit of context, I have a few questions to ask the student panel to give you a little bit more insight about what they're doing right now. And then we will shift in a little while to a Q&A situation. So if you have any questions that come up for the students during this time, feel free to put them in the chat. I believe Ashley put a message in there, or if you do feel comfortable, you'll be able to ask those and unmute yourself. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So UCLA, the World Arts and Cultures Dance Department is part of the greater UCLA campus as well. So just to jump out of it a little bit, what activities do you find yourselves taking part in alongside your dance major? So are you participating in any clubs, organizations, work opportunities? Is anyone doing anything alongside their dance work? Go for it, Caillou.
So I'm on campus right now because I have a rehearsal for WACsmash right after this meeting. WACsmash is just pretty much a student run and student led produced dance performance and showcase that's going to be in the winter. And I'm co-choreographing with another fourth year named Mary. And outside of kind of like dance too, I'm also involved with the dance at UCLA. I mean, I'm involved with VSNG, which is Versatile Next Generation, kind of like training in hip hop and street dance. I'm also involved this year in LFTA, which is the Latino Film and Theater Association, just doing it for fun. There's a lot of like different clubs on campus. I've noticed that since my first year, I've kind of delved into a lot of different kind of Latino organizations. So I've done the Central American organization, which is UNICA. This year I'm trying out MECHA, which is the big kind of Latino org on campus. And then I have worked, I'm not currently working, but on campus, my second year, I used to work at UCLA Housing. And so yeah, I've been pretty involved.
Great, thank you, so busy. Anyone else? And you feel free to unmute yourselves, just go for it.
Hi, so I'm actually also one of the WACsmash producers, and there's 5 of us right now. More on that later. I think they have an introduction. I'm also in the fashion org at UCLA. It's called FAST. I think it stands for Fashion and Student Trends. And I'm also part of the like UCLA collegiate like dance team community. So LA has this huge like community where people like gather in huge groups to dance in teams at night. So that includes like Samha Modern, ACA, things like that. I'm also part of Asian Culture Club, CASA. So that's a Korean Association club. And I'm also involved in dance projects outside of the campus. One of my friends who graduated is doing something called Project Shaw, and rehearsals for that happen. I'm also an artist in the WACsmash gallery. So outside of my dance art, I also like the like crafts art. So yeah.
Great. Anyone else want to share? Go for it, Alejandra, please.
Yeah, so I am part of the Undergraduate Student Council in school, which is USAC. It's like the student government. And that's really fun because I get involved with a lot of students and their needs. And we just basically listen and gather information about what needs to be changed on campus or what is working out. And then we talk to the dean, and that is really fun. I also work on campus. So there's a lot of work study opportunities, and they're very flexible with like schedules, and they understand that we're students, so it's really fun. Everyone there is so nice. I work at a cafe, and it's really, really fun to work there. Personally, I like it. And I also dance outside of school. I take classes around campus or far away from campus, but same in the LA area.
Great. I know you're all so busy and so involved. And we can go ahead and shift a little bit, unless Ryan, Gumi, Madison, we can also come back to it as well later. But so it's really interesting to get, a little bit of an idea of what you're all doing, alongside your dance work, because, as students, you're multifaceted, you have so many things going on. But let's shift it back inwards towards the department. So UCLA WACD is, like we said, it's a liberal arts sort of education within the context of a research institution. So you're all earning a Bachelor of Arts in Dance. You're taking technique courses, you're doing things outside, and you're also focusing on theory and critique and history. So you're getting a really well-rounded, you know, insight into dance and what it is right now. But if I could ask, what does it mean for you? And let's contextualize this for our attendees. What has it meant to you, or what does it mean to you right now to study and be making dance and body-based movement at a research institution? So what sort of experiences have you had in doing that? And what does that mean to you to be studying dance in this way at this place? If you could share that.
I can start.
Please.
Wow, it's actually really interesting whenever people ask me like, so what's it like dancing at UCLA? And whenever I really tell people, I usually don't really describe it as like simply dance, whereas like I say like I'm doing research in dance, because that entails a completely different thing. I feel like for me, a lot of what you would expect from a regular conservatory is like you come and you dance from like 8 to 5 every single day. And like this is not anything like that, where it's like a lot of the work that you'll be doing is like research, where it's like you're reading a lot, you're watching a lot of different kinds of dance performances, theorizing, like finding different ways to analyze and distill sort of concepts that you might find that like have spoken to you in a lot of different ways. And then it's a matter of how you take that into your own work, or how you make it into a like corporeal, pardon me, thing, you know, like which would be your work. And so I think a lot of it has just been really eye-opening to what dance could be and what it does for people. If that answers the question.
Does, thank you. Yeah, and we're just, you know, trying to contextualize it. Research, you know, when people hear research, sometimes the mind goes towards, you know, labs and science and data and things like that. But, you know, research can happen in the studio as well. And it's a really great thing. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to speak to that? Please go for it.
I think kind of a very similar thing. I don't think I entered this department fully appreciative of all the avenues that a dance education can give you for your future life. I think, you know, it is a field of study, a field of education like any other field. And so there is scholarship and there is research and there is that kind of, you know, literary work that goes into understanding what we do. But there's also, you get to balance that with actually doing something you really enjoy as a concept, which I think is hard to find for a lot of people. So at this point, I feel good about the fact that I was able to find a major that allowed me to balance both aspects of something that I value.
Great, thank you. Madison, did you want to share? It's okay.
Yeah, Gumi kind of already said what I was gonna say, but I guess just to add on to that, I think this program really teaches you like how dance, or just to think about how dance like interacts with your social environment, and like both past and present, and how that kind of informs you as a dancer and choreographer. And I think growing up, I didn't think about dance in that way. And if I didn't come to this program, I wouldn't have that well-rounded understanding and like different avenues of what I could do with my degree. So I love this program so much.
Well, it seems like maybe, I mean, all of you have had at least 2 years, if not 3 so far, you know, immersed in this experience. And it sounds like some of you might have maybe shifted your ideas or learned something new, or, you know, the department has surprised you in different ways. So if you could, what advice would you give to prospective applicants or students who are trying to determine if WACD would be a good fit for them? And also in the same path, what advice would you give to anyone going through the application process right now? But if you could just give some insight, what kind of things should they be looking for to see if this is a good fit for them?
Well, for talking about the application process, I really think that just be yourself. I think our department really values each and everyone individual's uniqueness. We don't look for cookie cutters. We value like that diversity within our community. So really just be yourself. Don't worry about that.
Thank you.
I would also advise the same thing. Do not write your application process thinking, what would they like? What are they expecting from me? Really just write like, what you feel, who you are, give us a sense of that. And based on that, like the professors, the faculty will decide on your application process. But I think I was really nervous, and I also didn't know what I was going to when I came into WACD, and eventually I fell in love with it. And I just really hope that that's also your incline when you come here, into this program. I guess my biggest advice for application process would be just looking what program you're coming into, really researching what WACD is and what it means to you and what we do, because every class is completely, it will mesmerize you how much you can go and do with dance and how much of an impact it can make, not only in your life, but in other communities and other people's lives as well.
Okay. Bernice, yeah?
I also want to make like the small comment of like, if you're someone who is really like wanting to like play with intersections of like whether it's like topics or even like genres or like mediums, I found that the program gives you a lot of freedom to like use like all that you know, maybe not just in dance. Like there's like music and like dance collaborations, and there's like dance for camera. And so like if you're someone who like has passion towards like multiple like things, it's a really like awesome way to kind of like learn how to like tie it all together into like something you like really love and enjoy making.
Great, thank you. Anyone else want to share to that? Gumi, please. Yeah, go for it.
Yes, I have two things. In terms of the application process, I think remembering that this department has a very symbiotic relationship with its students in that you get exactly what you give in a lot of situations. And so understanding that the application is not about making them like you, it's about making them understand your point of view. Because everybody here has like something to offer this department that's really, really valuable. And so I think it's just a question of making them see that on paper, and they will like you just for that. I think the second thing is also managing your expectations, because as humans, we generally have a tendency to fixate on the negative, and I don't want to imply that everything about this department is perfect in every single way. So manage your expectations about an institution before you enter the place, because the positives will always be shown to you. The negatives you have to find out for yourself. So be prepared for that as you apply.
Great, thank you all so much for the honesty and the insight. And I think those were, hopefully, the attendees are feeling as excited as I am. Makes me want to apply again, even though I cannot. But thank you all so much for providing those really thorough and intriguing and exciting answers. We're gonna go ahead and shift over to some questions from the chat to see what we've got. So let me take one quick second to look through. Okay, this is a great one. So a couple of you are double majoring or have a minor. How do your majors or minors overlap with and inform your dance experiences, or how do you combine those, or how have you combined those to create kind of your university experience? Please go for it.
I'm doubling with Chicanics and Central American Studies, and I'm minoring in Education Studies. So I feel like for me, it's kind of been a very interesting process in that I really, like my first year, I was just doing dance, and I really felt like I, at times in certain spaces, I needed to make space for myself and kind of explain my background as someone who is Latinx or Central American, to be even more specific. So it's like, I feel that while the department is very, I think, very good at I think incorporating different perspectives and intersectionalities into your movement, into your practice. I think they're and that's, I think, very they do a very good job of that. I think I still wanted more I guess of a deeper dive, if you will, into some of my other passions like ethnic studies and kind of things like that. And I feel like being a Chicanx and Central American Studies major has kind of helped me take whatever I learn in those classrooms and take whatever I learn in that major and apply it to my dance and to my movement. And it's kind of made me a lot more passionate about doing kind of art activism and kind of wanting to represent a lot of people from my background. And then I've also noticed other departments, at least like the ethnic studies department and Chicano and Central American Studies department in specific, a lot of my professors tend to do like art, I guess, projects instead of like a final paper. They'll be like, oh, if you have avenues of art that you want to do that, and then just like write an artist statement. So I feel like that's kind of like being a dance major has helped me kind of intersect those two things and kind of really delve in deeper into my other major. And then for education studies, like I want to be an arts educator, so I feel like that really has helped me kind of bridge everything that I'm interested in.
That's great. Great to hear. Anyone else having those kinds of experiences as well? And if not, that's great that you're having that, Kai. That's awesome that you have that intersection with your studies. I have another question then from the chat. And these two, I'm going to combine a couple. So one student is asking, do you need to know all styles of dance in order to major in dance at UCLA? And to go hand in hand with that, which styles of dance did you all take part in before coming to UCLA, which might help answer that first question.
Yeah, no, like not at all. You don't need to know, like the whole point of coming to this department is to just forget everything you know and just like try on new things. Like I grew up here in LA. My background is strictly like contemporary modern. I have never done ballet in my entire life. And I didn't start until my sophomore year of college. And like now it's like I'm a TA for ballet and like I'm loving it and it's super fun. And like when I came into it, I was very heavily like, I'm never gonna do ballet, like I don't need it. And now it's just like something that I thoroughly enjoy doing. I've taken West African before, and like that was like, you all should take West African. It is such a fun class. Willie is such a great person, and he's super like, he's just fun to be around. His energy is really like welcoming and fun, very lighthearted. And I think like I said, just forget like everything you know and like really just take the time to like look into what you might find interesting or even what you might not find interesting. Try it out. That's the whole point. You have 4 years and all these classes to figure out what it is that you like and what you don't like and what works best for you.
I think,
Thank you.
sorry, Gumi. Okay. I think that's one of the like beautiful things about this department is that we all come from such different backgrounds, and yet we all come together, dance together as a community. We all learn from each other. So I just think that that's like amazing about us.
Great. Rumi, did you want to? Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, no, you don't need to be versed in every single movement style. I did not come into this department having any experience with any of the 4 foundational movement styles. I was trained as a classical Indian dancer in Bharatanatyam, and I have like a background in gymnastics. But my audition for the department was like fully West African and hip hop, and I was really floundering. But I think, again, like Madison pointed out, this department is really about connecting to movement collaboratively and helping that inform your own practice moving forward. So I think now year 4, I still don't feel like I fit into any of the 4 foundational groups, but I think I have a much better understanding of what my personal movement practice is and what that will be moving forward. So I think that's what this department can offer you.
Yumi, I think that was a great answer because I came to this department strictly as a jazz dancer and had never been very exposed like religiously to the other 4 foundational movements that we have. And now that I've been exposed and I've been taking modern classes, West African, hip hop, even ballet, it's just amazing to see how those kind of movement vocabularies enhances your own and how you transition your movement into something completely different and you just take from everything that you learn, every movement style, and then whatever you came with, you either let it go or you just make it even better. You really develop your own movement vocabulary, and it's just beautiful to see like what I auditioned with and how I move now. I think it's a beautiful transition.
That's great to hear. Thank you all for sharing that. I have another question here. What does the typical day as a dance major at UCLA look like? So that can be about what classes are you taking? How many days a week are you dancing? What is that experience like for you? And I know we've recently shifted back to an in-person situation, so maybe you could speak on that as well. But what does a day in your life look like right now?
I would really, oh, Carlos, you want to go? Sorry, I'm so excited. I did not take WACD classes or dance major classes for about 2 quarters, almost a year because of COVID. I was looking forward to taking them in person. So right now I'm only taking dance major classes, which is very exciting for me. I guess like a typical Monday would be, I wake up, I go to work, I come back, I take advanced West African, and then I take beginning West African, which really helps me with the foundations. And then after that, I have a little break, and then we all hang out in the Rainbow Lounge, which is really cool. That's where all the dance major hang out like between classes. It's really a nice community because I don't feel that in any other department or building at UCLA. The dance department is very united. And then I go to an improvisation class, and then after that I take, I don't know, the production arts seminar with Professor Dan Froot, which is also really fun. And that's like my regular Monday. You also can choose how many classes you take or you do not take. They all don't have to be dance, but I'm just very excited to be transitioning again from COVID to in-person classes.
Great. Carlos, did you want to?
I mean, Ale kind of said most of what I was gonna say, to be honest. But yeah, it was just kind of a very similar thing where it's I kind of took I focused more on my Chicanx major during the pandemic. And I kind of would take some dance classes, but it was more like choreography based or like dance for camera, and kind of like really try to take advantage of, I guess, online learning and really try and like pursue different avenues of dance, and really explore different, I guess, avenues of artistry, such as like camera work. But yeah, now I think a typical day is just very similar to Ale's. Is just kind of wake up, do my movement classes. In between my gaps, I'll be in the Rainbow Lounge. It's a pretty small major, so we all kind of like hang out with each other, which is very, I think, very special, especially in such a big campus like UCLA. And then I'll like go to my Chicano lecture, or my education studies lecture, and then like a club, go home, make dinner, and call it a day. So
All right. And unfortunately, we are nearing the very end of our Q&A student panel session, but just if we could sneak it in there, going off of a question I received in the chat, if you could, and not everyone has to, but if a few short words come up to you about what you like, what's your biggest takeaway? What's your biggest positive takeaway from the department right now? What's your favorite part? If you could just, in a few short words, if you feel compelled to let us know what it is about this department that you feel.
Definitely creative practice, like just like really getting a better understanding of how you work and how you would want to work, and how you want to put your vision out there to the world, and just getting a better understanding of like who you are as an individual and as an artist as well.
I think community support and just finding your own unique voice within your art form.
for me, just to say something really quick, I feel like the department's kind of given me the opportunity to really pursue my passion and pursue something that is not very common in communities of color and low income communities. I'm a first generation Latino from the Central Valley, coming from a low income background. So it's very very rare to hear people from backgrounds such as mine to be in a department like this at such a big institution like this. So I feel like, to me, what I got out of this department is just kind of a big opportunity to kind of, I guess, break those barriers.
That's amazing. Thank you all for those answers. And though I wish we could keep talking and sharing in this experience, we have to wrap it up. But I just want to thank you all so much for joining us, taking time out of your very busy schedules to sit with us today. And I also want to mention Bernice unfortunately had to leave because she had another commitment as well. So just to show how busy our students are and how committed they are to various things. But again, thank you so much to all of you. We really appreciate it. And I hope the attendees have gotten a little bit more insight into what life is like as a current student in WACD. So thank you all so much. We will talk to you soon. We'll connect with you soon. But just transitioning, Ashley did say in the chat, if you have any other questions, I will do my best to answer some in the chat right now. But if any others come up, please feel free to email us at the email that Ashley put in the chat. And then because Bernice was unable to stay with us, I'm going to be introducing our next video that we are going to be showing. So it came up a little bit, but WACsmash is one of the performances available to students in the department. It is student run and student produced, and it's an annual performance and gallery for students in the WACD department. So students can perform, create art, or produce the show. And it's one of the biggest opportunities for undergraduate led works here, and it is entirely student run. Again, there are other performance opportunities within the department that are really great, but typically WACsmash does take place in Kaufman Theater, and it runs for 2 evenings and 1 afternoon. It has also adapted in the past few years or couple years to be a virtual platform as well. So they are adaptable and they are really creative. But the following video that you will be seeing is a video from their informational meeting back in September, and it does showcase some of WACsmash's past pieces. So on behalf of Bernice and the other co-producers of WACsmash 2022, they want to wish you, they hope you enjoy this video. And also, if you're interested, follow them on Instagram with the handle @WACsmash for more updates. But with that, here you go.
Well, thank you, Claudia, and our 6 panelists, and thank you for introducing WACsmash. And by the way, the performance for WACsmash this coming up, what's the date in February, winter quarter, Rain?
January 28th and 29th, if you can all make it. It should be, I don't know, it's usually free, I think.
It's usually free.
Yeah. It's usually free, but yeah.
Yes, so we encourage you, if you are local, please come and watch the performance in WACD in the Gloria Kaufman Hall Theater. So we will move on to the second part of our program. It's a faculty panel with 3 presenters, and we'll follow by some Q&A with our faculty members. So Professor Dan Froot and Professor David Roussève are joining us for this panel. Hi, Dan. Hi, David. So our first presenter is Professor Dan Froot, who will introduce himself, please, and share with you the overview of our departmental mission and our graduate career path. Then we'll follow by Professor David Roussève. David will speak more specifically on our curriculum and body-based research in choreography. And then I will be the last, and I will address WACD's virtual audition process. So allow me to pass the spotlight and mic to Dan.
Thank you so much, Cheng-Chieh. Hello, everybody. And thanks to Ashley Pham, our wonderful SAO, and Claudia for running this session, and to our amazing student panel, just so full of pride and love for you all. Thank you so much. And welcome everybody, and thank you for coming today. My name is Dan Froot. I'm a performance artist, which means I make dance and music and theater work. And I'm a professor of creative process and production here in the Department of World Arts and Cultures and Dance, which we call WACD. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the mission of our department and what sorts of paths some of our graduates have taken from the program. As Cheng-Chieh mentioned, UCLA is a Research 1 university. That means that we engage in the highest level of knowledge production. And I don't know about you, but when I was in your position applying to colleges, I was not thinking about dance as research. But really what that means is that the dance faculty at UCLA is actively working at the top of their fields in dance and choreography and dance media and interdisciplinary performance, contributing to new artistic visions and new ways to think about, to understand, and to experience the body in motion. And their students, hopefully that's you, get to be a part of that work in classes and through independent studies. WACD is a department like no others, and I know that other departments will say that as well, but let me tell you a little bit about the differences here. WACD is the coming together of UCLA's dance department, the first ever to offer a bachelor's degree in dance, and a program called World Arts and Cultures, which studies the arts as expressions of communal values among different peoples and times and places. So we are much more than a dance department. And thanks in part to being in such close proximity with our colleagues in World Arts and Cultures, and the dance program maintains a strong focus on social justice, environmental sustainability, and the centering of marginalized perspectives. Our department is also unique in the ways in which we integrate scholarly and artistic practice. In a moment, my colleague David Roussève will tell you more about that and how our curriculum is structured. Because we're such an unusual department, our students move into many different career paths after they graduate. Sure, we have plenty of graduates who go on to join dance companies, become independent choreographers and interdisciplinary artists. But our graduates have also become filmmakers, arts administrators, producers, curators, teachers, dance movement therapists, activists, scholars, and so much more. Some go on to graduate school. They might earn a master's degree in dance, in political science, healing, arts management, or business. And it's not unusual for our dance majors to earn MFAs after they graduate, or PhDs in critical dance studies or other scholarly disciplines. So if you love dancing, and it's been a source of empowerment and identity for you, and you're wondering how that passion can evolve into something you haven't even imagined yet, if you're looking for a Bachelor of Arts program taught by a world-class faculty of award-winning choreographers, dancers, and scholars, and if you're looking for a major that focuses on choreography as a mode of inquiry and the body as a source of knowledge, then you found the right place at WACD, and lucky for us, we may have found you. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic to my colleague David Roussève, who will tell you a little bit more about what you might expect from the dance major itself. David?
Thanks, Dan. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, and it's so great to see faculty and that amazing student panel, and to see you guys as prospective students who will join us on this journey. My name is David Roussève, and I'm a choreographer and a writer and a director, and I make interdisciplinary dance theater that combines dance and text and digital imagery to tell the stories of disenfranchised people. And at UCLA, my position is Distinguished Professor of Choreography, and I teach progressive modes of making dances within our graduate program, the MFA, and also within our BA for dance. And I wanted to talk to you about our curriculum, and perhaps with a particular focus on the part that I teach in, which is the creative inquiry as research or choreography side of the department. As Dan mentioned, there's so many possibilities within the department, but you'll have a primary and secondary focus decided between creative inquiry as research or choreography, critical dance studies, and dance as civic engagement, meaning how can your choreography and your voice or your activism work really be committed to civic engagement through the arts. And I think the guiding factor amongst all those different areas of focus are that we're asking what the field of dance and movement and body-based practice needs and wants to be within the world we live in right now, the ever-evolving world. And so we ask a series of questions about the form the art will take through choreography, or how it interacts with the socio-political world in which we live. We ask those questions through a very progressive lens that's trying to give its eye on the present, but also in the future. Where is the dance field going, and what are the tools that you might need to contribute to the field, but also to allow dance to contribute to a greater humanity and human dialogue. Specifically within the curriculum, if that's kind of the philosophical bend, the specifics are we have preparation for the major requirement, as in lower division requirement, and then we have upper division requirements for juniors and seniors. And in the lower division, you'll take a series of dance studies courses, you'll take improvisation, and in particular, for my area of study, there are 4 core choreography courses that everyone takes, creative expression courses, if you will. 2 of them are at the preparation for the major. One is a choreography course in languages. How does you create a vocabulary for a dance? How do you source a vocabulary for a dance? What is your own idiosyncratic vocabulary that's intricate to you and your artistic voice? And then we'll study a course in processes, which asks, hey, what are some of the processes that you can go through for creating a dance? What are some of the paths that different artists have chosen that you might study that could then feed your own way of investigating a topic through dance? And then at the upper division, there are 2 more choreographic courses, one called locations, which is asking, how does the location of a dance, where it's made, where it's viewed, most importantly, how does that affect its meaning? And then one called impacts, which studies how does a dance have its wallop? How does it convey meaning? How does it have its impact? So you can see we're choosing really progressive lenses that can fit a myriad of forms within them, through which we'll teach choreography. And then on top of that, there's a series of really powerful elective choreographic courses if you want to go deeper within a certain area. Most of the topics, to name a few, speak for themselves. We have a dance for camera course. We have a special topics and choreography course, which is topics that are at the forefront of the field right now. For example, last year I taught a text and movement course. We have a music and dance collaborations course, where you'll work with composers from the music department to create collaborations. A course called Re-Choreographing Disability, presented in collaboration with Disability Studies. And we have a Choreographing Gender course that looks at how choreography intersects with the construction of gender, especially through a lens of race and class. And the last one that I'll mention is one that has been really important to me in the ways that I engage most intimately and deeply with the students, and the way that my own research and choreography professionally feeds the curriculum. And that is special projects in dance. It's called 174B. And it's essentially for me that I have created several pieces with the students through this projects in dance. Projects that I'm working on and discovering languages and processes and locations and figuring out what is the impact of my dance. It's a hands-on way to investigate those ideas through the direct creation of choreography. And what I want to say is my last three, spanning the last 15 years, works were started in these courses. And actually for two of them, the cast contained MFA and actually BA dance graduates, just freshly graduated, who then toured with me for a couple of years professionally with the work that we created that began in these courses. So some of the things that Dan mentioned, the braiding together and the synergy of professional research and curriculum building, the commitment to dance and civic engagement, the commitment to creating an interaction between theory and process, between making a dance and studying the context in which the dance was created. You see all those things being reflected on the choreography, curriculum on that side of the department. It's a really exciting place to be that's really asking forward-thinking questions about how we can remain relevant, respond to, and impact the greater world in which we make our dances.
Great, thank you, Dan, and thank you, David, for the insight into the departmental mission and the nitty-gritty curriculum. So I now would like to address the virtual edition specific to the WACD supplement application. Okay. Okay. I want to start up saying that the WACD admission is a holistic review. So our reviewers will cover all materials within your application and consider them in relationship to each individual applicant's personal narrative. So specifically, I want to point out 3 areas within your supplemental application. Claudia, will you share the one-page dance supplemental application checklist with us all? Okay, great. Thank you, Claudia. So the first area I want to point out is the number 3, the personal statement on the checklist. So this is regarding the WACD personal statement. So our presentation today was designed to give you insight into the nature of our department, which Dan and David speaks pretty clearly about who we are, and also you get a sense from our student panels about who we are and what we do. So it is important to express why you are interested, particularly to apply for the WACD dance major, and what makes you a well-suited candidate. So how do you make a case, you know, within your specifically your WACD statement, but also this could also happen all over, right? From your UC statements, those questions, those 4 survey questions, and also from all your writings, your research papers. So another note is that your WACD statement should be distinct from the 4 UC personal insight questions. So to make sure that, because sometime in the past, we have seen students who post same response to different questions. So please make a note to make sure that you utilize all those different questions to put up a different aspect about your personal experience, your interests, and your goals. The second area is number 5, the video audition on the checklist. And as you can see, the video audition consists of 2 required elements. And those are 2 separate video files. The first one is on your choreography, which is a 60-second self-choreographed solo highlighting your own choreographic concepts, aesthetics, ideas, values, and imagination. So I want to give you some notes on what the reviewers are potentially looking for. One, your understanding of the fundamentals of choreography, how you utilize choreographic form, how you utilize the space, time, and design, etc. 2, is your kinetic movement appropriate for your choreographic intentions? 3, does your choreography interact with larger social, political, or humanistic concerns? So those are just some of the areas that we might, the reviewers are looking for. And for the video, for the choreography clip, go beyond the cliche, one learned from technique class, create individuated pathways of movement expression. For example, find your own musicality versus being subordinate to, or just illustrating the lyric of the music. So then for the movement video submission, which is a 30-second solo that highlights your movement abilities. And this is an opportunity to present your unique movement background. It is important to demonstrate your movement as a personal voice. We are interested in applicants that focus on body in the flow of movement engagement rather than showing off proficiency of a particular dance technique. So regarding to this 2 video submission, there's some important reminders. We want to see your range of skill sets. So it is best if you use the 2 different video requirements to highlight your different capabilities and try to differentiate clearly between the choreographic video and the movement video. The third area I want to point out is number 6 on the checklist regarding to the self-portrait multimedia project. So this is an opportunity to demonstrate your creative problem solving and open to all mediums. So we ask you to make a portrait representation of yourself as an introduction to the WAC community. And your creative approach doesn't have to be limited by singular medium. Feel free to utilize multiple forms such as movement, sound, media, visual imagery, text, objects, quotidian, everyday things, and behaviors. And you can fulfill the prompt in many creative ways. So think out of the box and out of your typical dance box. Other notes that I would like to point out are, of course, you want to stay within the allotted time limit and work within the parameters of the prompts. And please note, limitation beget creativities. Also, for the written summary accompanying your 2 videos, we are most interested in dancers and aspiring dancers who are independent thinkers. So it is important to reflect thoughtfully on your movement experience and your creative process. And there's much to say, and I will leave it here for now, and we will now open up for questions with our faculty, with David and Dan, and Claudia will come back to go over all the dance supplemental applications later on. Okay, All right, so this is quite informal. Dan and David, should we just open up for questions? And please, you could raise your hand and we'll unmute you, or you can put your questions in the chat box.
And while people are thinking of questions, Cheng-Chieh, there are already several that have come through. So I can go over some of those. Some of these may have been addressed in what you've heard from David and Cheng-Chieh and myself, but we can be sure that that you're all getting what you would like to understand from us. So the first one is, what choreographic classes / opportunities are there for majors who want to specialize in it? And David, do you want to handle that? I think you alluded to some of that.
Sure, yeah, there are 4 core courses that everyone will take, and that's locations, processes, languages, and impacts. So in each one of those courses, I want to stress, these are studio-based courses. You're making work rather than academically studying work, even though your academics and your dance studies are hopefully affecting and invested in your choreography. And for each one of these courses, you're usually making a new study or short piece every week. And then you put that one to the side, and then you make another piece. So you have a constant stream of making work within the classes. And then you have extracurricular opportunities to choreograph as well. I'm an enormous fan of WACsmash. We saw a video from WACsmash. All the choreography is developed by the students, and it's usually incredibly strong. And then there are performance opportunities. We're working on ways to bring in even more, but very often you'll have a guest choreographer who's actually making work on the student so that you can learn about how to choreograph while you are working within another choreographer's process. And those works are often performed in performance at the end of the quarter, sometimes in our main space in a formal performance. So there are class opportunities to choreograph, and there are extracurricular opportunities to choreograph as a student. And then there are chances to work in the development of an actual work choreographically with a guest artist. So many chances to work on your choreography.
Thank you, David. Cheng-Chieh, maybe you can speak to this next question. What styles of modern do you study at UCLA? And the student gave examples of Horton or Graham.
Yes, I can speak for that. With the modern style, currently the modern postmodern dance class is being taught by Gracie White for the intermediate and advanced classes. We also have beginning modern classes, which are taught by different teachers, our esteemed, returning dance artists from the field, MFA program or PhD program. So that I want to say that in terms of modern style, so it's questionable now, right? So we are practicing a lot of many different. So what is constitute modern is being influenced by a lot of different, kind of techniques that embedded in personal practices. So we really want to think about this. A technique is a creative way of thinking about body, and that's connected to a personal perspective. And I want to give you an example that used to teach the modern postmodern dance class that was kind of approached from my own Chinese martial art approach toward the modern postmodern dance technique. Then I want to say that a technique that is grounded in a personal voice. So it's not a style per se. But Gracie is a wonderful, wonderful teacher. And I think we certainly will have different artists coming through. So it's not that technique is not only happening in the technique class, it's also, as David had pointed out, there are many opportunities to engage with guest artists. In that way that you are cultivating personal voice through a different guest artist lens for your contemporary approach to your movement practice.
Yeah. And Gracie also integrates a practice called flying low into her classes, and a lot of floor work, really learning how to get your weight into the floor and move in and out of the floor. Another question I can answer this one. Would you say most classes taken by a dance major are movement classes or research classes? We don't necessarily distinguish them that way. We think of the movement classes also as research classes, but I think I know what you mean. We teach classes in dance history, critical dance studies. I would say the majority of the classes in the dance major are studio classes, but that is somewhat up to the path that the student decides to take through the curriculum, because you might decide you want to focus more on the scholarly aspect. But for the most part, I would say the majority of classes that we offer in the department are studio classes where you're doing embodied research, let's call it that. Some questions about the audition process. Are there any live or virtual auditions for the dance majors? When are they usually? Is there also any portfolio applicant, anything portfolio applicants should be doing? Well, the auditions, the admissions are entirely virtual. And Ashley will explain, or Claudia, I think, will explain a little bit more about the admissions process and the application process. You'll be submitting videos and writing samples to us. I want to take it back to the curriculum for a second. For you, David, are students required to take specific classes as first-year students?
Yes, there is a first year. There are very specific courses, and things open up as you become upper division. But we have a series of courses that we think everyone, no matter what focus they'll be taking, should take. And those are global perspectives on dance, Dance 1, our introductory dance studies course, beginning improvisation, world dance histories, and introduction to dance studies, composition 1, which is languages, composition 2, which is processes, and then dance 70, a production practicum. So the first year, you'll be taking a lot of required courses, but those required courses really cover such a wide range of what we feel necessary information is for you around dance studies, dance history, and choreography, and even production.
Thank you. We are about to move back to Claudia now to talk a little bit more about the application requirements. I know there are a couple of other questions about the applications, particularly about the 60-second self-choreography video and the 30-second movement background video. If there are more questions about that or other aspects of the admissions process or the curriculum that haven't been answered during this session, please do let Ashley Pham, our Student Affairs Officer, know, and we will certainly get that information to you. And Claudia might be able to answer some of those questions now, as she is about to talk about the application requirements.
All right, thank you so much. I will do my best to answer those questions in going through the application process. Hopefully we'll clear up some of the confusion and make it a little bit as straightforward as possible for you all moving through this process. So I'm going to be talking about the admission process to UCLA, specifically World Arts and Cultures Dance. So just to give you some insight, the admission process to UCLA Arts as a whole is a direct entry application process. So it is a twofold application that involves applying to UCLA through the UC application and then submitting a supplemental application directly to your chosen major for department review. So in this case, if you're applying to dance, your application will be going to dance, but the WACD department and all of our arts departments review students' supplemental applications and portfolios or auditions, all of those additional materials, and then they make recommendations to general campus who verify your minimum academic eligibility, either as a freshman or a transfer. So as applicants to UCLA Arts, students undergo both a specific review process with the department and then a general holistic consideration with general campus. So some important dates and deadlines. I know you have a lot to keep track of right now. So just as a reminder, the first part of that twofold application process is submitting the UC application. And once you do that, if you are, by the time choosing to apply to UCLA, if you are choosing to apply for dance, you will need to list your dance major as your first choice to UCLA. What that does is then signals to our office, once it goes through, that you need access to the supplemental portal so you can submit your supplemental application. And then the second part of that process is submitting your supplemental application. So Cheng-Chieh went over those requirements. I'll go over them in just a second, again, just as a run through of all of those different elements to the supplemental application. But you have the UC application, which has opened. Some of you might have already applied. If you have, congratulations, that's great work. If you have not, that's okay. It's due November 30th. And then the supplement for dance is due December 15th. So you still have some time to get those in. Just to go over some logistics of minimum academic eligibility, because it is helpful to know. So for first year students, we look at least a 3.0 GPA for California residents and at least a 3.4 GPA or higher for out-of-state or international students. If you are in California, we're looking for your A through G curriculum in high school. If you are not in California, those are essentially a series of 15 UC, University of California required college preparatory courses that are listed on the University of California's website. And then also for fall 22 admission, at least through fall 2024, the UC system, the entire UC system is SAT and ACT free. So we are test free. We will not be looking at or accepting any sort of test scores. So you do not need to be submitting those. For transfer students, typically general campus does look for applicants at junior standing, but in the School of the Arts and Architecture, we do also consider sophomore level transfers. So that means that you have less than 60 semester or 90 quarter units. What we do look for in terms of minimum academic eligibility are at least a 3.0 GPA at the time of your application. And then in terms of course requirements, we're looking for 2 English courses in composition and then critical reading and writing, and 1 math or quantitative reasoning course with a prerequisite of intermediate algebra or higher. Those 3 courses need to be finished by the spring before you would be coming to UCLA. So if you're applying for fall 2022, they would need to be done by spring 2022. And you would need a B average GPA across all 3 of those courses. So although we're in the middle of the process right now and the UC application is not due till November 30th, and then the supplement is not due till the 15th, once you do submit the UC application, within approximately 1 to 7 business days, you will get access to that submission portal for the supplemental. In the meantime, if you haven't submitted yet, or you're still going through the supplemental application requirements, you can do so. You can find a worksheet listing all of the requirements that Cheng-Chieh talked about, that I'll be talking about directly on our website. So if you go to arts.ucla.edu/apply, you scroll down a little ways down the page, we have lots of information on there, but if you scroll down to what is being shown on the screen right now, you can click on BA Dance, and that will lead you directly to the worksheet for the supplemental application with this year's requirements. And you'll be able to go through that for yourself and start preparing your materials if you haven't already. And then back to a slide I have shown before, but just to go over all of those requirements again, you'll find on that worksheet that's listed on our website, you will be answering a questionnaire. When it comes time to submit the supplemental application, you will be submitting unofficial transcripts from your high school or any other community college or other institution you've attended since. If you're applying as a transfer, you'll be submitting that personal statement, a related topic research paper, your 2 video auditions, and a self-portrait multimedia project, and optionally an experience resume to touch on, actually, we'll come to that later, but I'll be explaining just a little bit more about the video audition to help clear some things up. But those are essentially the components of your supplemental application that you will need to prepare in order to submit that supplemental application. And also just to give you some insight, when you're submitting the UC application, you will be submitting personal insight questions as part of that process. And typically the audience for those written responses won't be artists. The people reviewing them might not have an insight into your creative practice if you are talking about, your arts there. But when it comes to the personal statement for the dance major in the WACD department, the audience for your responses will be artists and dancers. So keep in mind that they already have some insight into what your practice is, into what your medium is. So make sure you're also taking time, as important as the video and the multimedia project and the other elements are, also make sure to give yourself some time to focus on the writing portion of your supplemental application, because the dance department and the reviewers really do want to see, a little bit more of what it is that your arts practice is and how you can explain it and how you, talk about yourself in your dance making or your movement making and things like that. So make sure you give yourself time to prepare all of the different elements of the supplemental application. And so when it comes time to submit the supplemental application, you will be finding yourself on a page like that, which is listed on your screen right now. You can find it right now at supplemental.arts.ucla.edu. If you have not gained access to the portal yet, you won't be able to submit yet, but you can go on there right now or anytime and sort of navigate the website, check it out, get a little bit prepared for what you might be working with soon. And also, just as a note, if anybody has submitted their UC application, if you have, feel free to put a thumbs up or something. Again, it's not due yet, but if you have, and if you have not for any reason received an email notification that you are eligible to submit the supplemental application, no worries yet, because we're in the early stages. That information might not have reached our office yet. So it does take a little bit of time, because once you submit your UC application, that goes up to the UC Office of the President, who sends that data to our campus, who then sends it to us, who lets us know to give you access to that supplemental portal. So if you have submitted your UC application, but have not received notification yet that the portal is available to you, that is not something to be worried about at this time. If for some reason that hasn't happened, or you haven't been notified by November 15th, that's when you can please feel free to email our office. But moving forward, once you submit that UC application, typically you will be receiving access to the portal itself to submit that application within 1 to 7 business days, depending on data traffic and things like that. But if any questions come up regarding that, please feel free to email our office. So it's a lot of information in a short span of time, but we just wanted to give you a rundown of the actual process itself. Hopefully it clears up that pathway and that trajectory of your application. If any other questions do come up, like we have been mentioning, please do feel free to email our email address. It is admissions@arts.ucla.edu. Laura, who jumped in earlier, and myself make up our whole office, so we will be there to answer those questions. If you want to navigate our website some more, which is arts.ucla.edu/apply, we also have lots of information on there about public events, frequently asked questions about the supplemental process. You can also access the link to sign up for our weekly virtual information sessions, which talk about the whole school. We also are hoping to introduce weekly office hours with our student ambassadors. So we have lots of opportunities for you to engage with us some more after today. If you're feeling like you need some more information, you can also follow us on social media. That's where we post a lot about what's going on in our community, in the arts community, and things like that. But hopefully this has cleared up a little bit, or, just giving you some more insight into the application process. And then also just to let you know, we will be following up after this, sending you some more links that might be helpful to navigating this process. And then just really quickly touching on the questions that have come up about the specifics of the video audition. We do also have a document prepared for you all that we will be sending out that includes advice from last year's faculty review team for the video audition, and that supplemental application. So they went through the process of the virtual audition last year. They have some insight into what works and what they're looking for. So we do have a document with advice straight from the people who reviewed the applications last year, to give you a little bit more clarity on maybe what they're looking for in terms of that video audition. So with that, thank you. And that is the rest of that presentation. But again, if you do have any questions, please do feel free to email us. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Claudia, and thank you, Laura, from the enrollment management from the school. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, I want to really express my thanks to you all for joining us today. So again, if you have any further questions, please reach out to the email that we have shared in the chat. We also want to thank our student panelists, Dan and David, our faculty, and all the staff, the planning committee, to make this event possible. So I hope you all stay safe and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you all. Bye.